So my name is Brandy and this is Jeff, and our purpose here is to give you the skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Now, we are going to be mentioning company specifics here, so if you're looking to join the MLM Leadership Show, that is at noon, and this is specifically for our company and our team. So you are welcome to listen along, and whatever you could use to help you in your business, you are welcome, but this is team specifics. And today we are going over, or this past week, we've been going over John Maxwell's 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, and we are on quality number 8, which is focus. The sharper it is, the sharper you are, and if you have to chase two rabbits, you both will escape. And I got one more quote for you. What people say and what people do and what people say they do are entirely different things, by Margaret Mead. So what does it take to have focus required to be a truly effective leader? There are two keys to this, and that's priorities and concentration. A leader who knows his priorities but lacks concentration knows what to do but never gets it done. If he has concentration but no priorities, he has excellence without the progress. But when he harnesses both, he has the potential to do great things. So how should you focus your time and energy? I'm going to turn this over to Jeff, and he is a certified John Maxwell coach, and he's going to give you the guidelines that are going to help you.
Awesome. Forgot my 5-hour. Can you go
Did
grab
you?
it?
Okay.
Yep. So, getting right into this, it says, so an important question is, how should you focus your time and energy and use these guidelines to help you? Number one is focus 70% on your strengths. So we all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. You want to focus where you're strongest. Inside of network marketing and inside of direct sales, you kind of have to focus on what? You have to focus on the things that make the business grow. Too many people focus on the wrong things. And let's talk about the right things to focus on. Well, the right things to focus on, number one is, who are you contacting? Who are you presenting to? Because in the beginning, that's all really you have to do. You know, the true success or failure of your business is going to have to be with how many people you've contacted and how many people you've presented to. The same thing is true in real estate. The same thing is true in financial services. The same thing is true in insurance. How many people have you talked to and how many people have you presented to? That's really what the focus is. Anything else that you're doing is busy work, making you feel good, making you look busy, but you're not productive. You're not focusing on the things that grow your business. Those are the only two things that really grow your business. So those are the two things you really want to track is, you know, what am I, who am I presenting to, and how many people are, who have I contacted, how many people I've presented to. So it says effective leaders who reach their potential spend more time focusing on what they do than what they're doing wrong. You know, what are you doing? And doing more of that, more contacting and more presenting. Focus 25% of your time, it says, on new things. Inside of direct sales or network marketing, you kind of want to make it like this. It's basically 80% of your time is basically presenting and contacting people, and 20% of your time is the personal development side and or events. If you have that focus, if you have that kind of distribution of time and energy, your business is going to grow. It has to. There's no possible way it won't. But what I've found is we try to do everything to avoid the work for a bunch of different reasons. I mean, we can go on for, hours about the different reasons. I'll get into some of those here in a second. It says focus 5% of your area on weaknesses, things that you're not good at. So you're like, hey, I'm scared to present. Hey, I'm scared to go talk to people. Hey, I'm scared to contact. If that's what the main part of the business is, that's not a good excuse. Like, that's not going to work. That's never going to work out for you. That's like that's like signing up for college and being like, but I'm scared to do homework. That's really tough shit. I mean, you don't have a choice. You have to read. You have to study. You have to turn in your homework, or you're not going to have a passing grade. You're not going to move up. You're not going to get a degree. It is what's required. So if you looked at, network marketing as a whole of what's required, 80% of it is what? Contacting and presenting, and 20% of it is all this other stuff that happens as you build. There's no way around it. There's no alternative. There's no shortcut. There's no, system to bypass the fact that you have to contact and you have to present. And that's the majority of what we do. It's unfortunate. It is the hard work. It is the scary work in the business. And it's the reason why so many people make such few money in the industry. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can find people and contact people. There's people we know. The people we know, family, friends, relatives, acquaintances, people that we run into, colleagues. These are people we know. The biggest problem, and this actually says that, this actually comes from Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich, he talks about that the biggest problem most people have is they're held back by the image that they have in their head of what their friends, what their family, and what their acquaintances will think of them. Because some of us have climbed really high up, whether that be, through degrees, whether that be through a job, whether that be through a work. In the eyes of the community that we hang out with, some of us have climbed really high, and now all of a sudden we have to go down to the bottom. I mean, network marketing, you're starting basically in sales. It's like you're starting at the ground floor.
I was trying to focus that more. It didn't work. Anywho.
So, when you're trying to focus, I just lost focus because Brandy is touching the screen, and her hand comes right across the screen. I was like, okay, what is this? So that's part of the issue is certain people have climbed to a certain social status, and all of a sudden we have to go talk to them. So in the book Think and Grow Rich, it says most people are held back not because of the skill needed, but most people are held back by the dumb shit that's in their head about what other people may think of them. And here's the reality, if you look into psychology, is most people never think about you. They don't care. Now, a lot of us are worried that people are going to talk about us. Here's the reality, people are going to talk about you anyway. And most people are negative by nature, so what do you think most conversations about you are going to be about anyway? Most of them are going to be negative. Most of them, oh, I don't think she'd be good at that. Oh, I don't think she'd be good at that. I don't think he'd be good at that. I don't think they'd be good at that. I don't think they'll be able to pull it off. All of those kinds of conversations. Just like when you said, hey, I think I'm going to go to school. Oh, well, most people don't finish school. The naysayers are always there. Well, I'm going to go get, continuing education. Well, most people aren't going to be able to do that. What's up, Brian? How are you? It's what you focus, it's what you tend to focus on is what happens. Most people will have that negative image of what's going on around them. They feel that their family, their friends, and their acquaintances, that's one of the biggest holdbacks. In business, period. It's not direct sales, it's not network marketing, it's business, period. It says any venture, any idea, any success, when you say, hey, I want to be successful in anything, what most people will do is that's what holds them back, is that image of what people think these people are going to think about them, which is really sad. I mean, what it really boils down to is, it's low self-esteem. It's low self-esteem. If you want to boil it down to its simple factor, it's low self-esteem is basically your imagination triggering fear and triggering a picture of what might happen. So that's what you're doing, is you're continuously running a tape in your head of what might happen, which means you're living in a fantasy world, really. And so many people live in this world. It's a fantasy world of what might happen. The reality is from statistics, 90% of what you think will happen or might happen usually never happens anyway. So 5% focus on weaknesses of stuff that you're not really that good at. Like if you're not that good at organizing, there's a certain level of organization you need to remember who to call. But to remember every single detail about that call is not necessarily necessary in direct sales. Reflecting on it. So it says to get back on track with your focus, do the following things. Number one, work on yourself. So if you're having problems contacting, talking to people, setting up appointments, and presenting, if you're having problems with those three things, the biggest thing you can do is work on yourself. What book are you reading and what programs are you watching? And programs meaning, are you listening or are you watching? Is there a YouTube video, or is, people who have issues contacting and inviting, the best probable person that I can think of to watch over and over and over again is Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, Building Your Network Marketing Business. Another gentleman that I would severely suggest if you're ready for that level of energy is Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas talks a lot about overcoming. about the limiting beliefs that you have in your head about what you think will happen, the limiting beliefs of how other people view you, and he sets you straight really quickly. I could say those two. One of them comes from a logical mindset. You know, if you look at Jim Rohn comes from a logical mindset, and a lot of times Eric Thomas will come from, you know, a hard hit emotional side. That's just what I've kind of realized when I watch him, or at least that's what I see. Next, you're going to work at your priorities. So most people do not work on a deadline. Most people work on a, well, I hope this happens. I wish, I hope, I sort of. I hear people say this all the time. You know, I heard somebody the other day say, well, I kind of hope, wish. They had all three of them. I kind of hope, wish this will happen. I was like, that basically means it'll never happen. I mean, that's really what you're saying, unfortunately. Kind of wish it happened. Next, work on your strengths. You know, find out what your strengths are. How do you find out what your strengths are? You can actually take a test on the 21 qualities of a leader, and that test is basically 3 parts. Part 1 is you list all the 21 qualities and you list them out on a scale of 1 to 10. Jen's with us. What's happening? I look forward to seeing you later today. Brandy and I are excited that you're coming up. So you list all the 21 qualities. Then you're going to look at each quality, meaning if you understand the name or the word. And what you'll do is you'll write a scale of 1 to 10 where you think you're at with that quality. That's the first part. You write them all down. Then you take all the numbers, add them up, and divide them by 21, and that gives you a score. Next, you want to take that exact same list, and you want to hand it to somebody you know, a family member, or a very close friend that's been around you for years, and you say, rate me on these 21. What do you think? Then you're going to take it to somebody you work with on a regular basis and have them rate it. You're going to look at all 3. You're going to look at where you're at. You're going to look at, Shelly's with us, what's happening? You're going to look at where you're at. You're going to look at where a family or friend thinks you're at, and then you're going to look at where a coworker thinks you're at. And now you have basically a blend of where you're really at. If you look at the 3 numbers, what I would do is look for where you think you're strong, and then look for where others think you're strong. Look for where you think you have a weakness, and look for where others think you have a weakness. This will really tell on you. I mean, in some cases, it'll blow you away in what people perceive about themselves and what's really taking place everywhere else. Dave Peters is with us. What's happening, sir? So that's how you rate yourself, you know, to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. You're going to know both. Next, it says, work with your counterparts. Work with people who basically believe what you believe, have the value system that you have the drive and the goal that's going in the direction, but have a different personality, because different personalities are good at different things. Like where the C-type personality is very good at the analytical, they're very good at calculating, they're very good at the contemplative, they're very good at taking things apart and putting things back together, where the high I-type might be very inspirational, might be very imaginative, might be very emotional, might kind of see the people side of the business. The other person sees the project itself. A lot of times those people have a hard time working together, but if they can work together, it's like magic can happen because you're able to see both sides of what you're doing. Then you just have to decide who's good at what and who wants to take over which part of the project. So those are, just 4 quick things. Work on yourself, work on your priorities, work on your strengths, and then work with your counterparts, work with people who see the objective but may think different things. To improve focus, do the following. Number 1, it says shift to strengths. It says make a list of the things that are the top priority things. What are the top priority things? Too often people spend so much time working on the bottom priority things. In direct sales, it's so easy. We all try to work on the things that do not grow the business. Well, I'm going to read. I'm going to organize my desk. I'm going to put my business cards in order. I'm going to alphabetize. I'm going to label. I'm going to shuffle paperwork. I'm going to, just everything, but avoiding actually talking to people. And guys, it's like this in every industry. It's not unique to us. It's like this in almost every industry. We avoid. Next, it says, staff The weakness is bring people around you who are good at this. So here's something: if you're not good at contacting, hang around somebody who's good at contacting. If you're not good at presenting, hang around somebody who's good at presenting. How do you think you get good at it? Anybody can go. Here's the thing: you never have to be excellent at any of this. You never have to, in direct sales, you never have to be excellent, but you have to be clear. You have to be concise. You have to be at least confident in what you're talking about, and you have to be consistent about it. If you're those 4 things, you can succeed. It's not that difficult. Let's face it. There are people who don't have degrees, don't even have high school degrees, that make 6 figures in our industry. There are people who make $250,000 in our industry that do not have a high school degree. There are people who make $500,000. And there are even people who make $1 million that don't even have a high school degree. So if you've, got an associate's or a bachelor's or even a master's, of course you can do this. But can you swallow your ego? Can you swallow your pride? Can you swallow this image of what you think you've made it to and start at the beginning and say, I'm going to be a professional? And that's really what we're talking about, is what does a professional look like to you? A professional over here that has the degree and the great job and the benefits, that's one type of professional. There's another type of professional on the other side that's built a successful business that has money coming in and generated when they're not even going to work. Which lifestyle do you want? Do you want to be that person that shows up and works for somebody else for the rest of your life? That's cool. If you want to, I'm more than happy to support you doing that. And there's some people who love doing what they do. And I'm not saying, to stop doing what you're doing. There's some people who love that. And they want to make the money on the side. We've got a gentleman we work with. He makes 6 figures in direct sales, and he's still the principal of a school. He loves what he does. He loves serving. He loves helping. He loves hanging out with people. But he just wants to have the money too. When he takes off for the summer, he just wants to leave. He doesn't want to have to worry about working or side work or finding something to do. He just wants to be done. It's totally up to you. So staff, those people around you, what your weaknesses are. So if you're not good at presenting, hang out with presenters. If you're not good at contacting, hang out with contacting people. If you're not good at relationship building, hang out with somebody who has a lot of relationships. Create an edge. It says, now that we've looked at the priorities, think about the concentration. What it would take for you to go to the next level in your area. What does it take to go to the next level in your area? In your profession? What does it take to go to that next level? Is it a new amount of people to talk to? Is it more? Is it training the people you have? What is it that will take you to the top? How do you create the edge? There's a couple things that will create the edge. Number 1 is decide to do everything with excellence, not just the shit you like. Because too many people just work on the stuff they like and just do the stuff that feels good. Therefore, they're like this, when people look at them, they're really just looking at this much of everything they do. You think you're focused and you're doing great, but this is how much people see of that. When you decide to do everything with excellence, no matter what project you're working on, you're going to knock, if it's taking out the trash, if it's doing the laundry, if it's cleaning the floor, whatever it is, you're doing it 100%, 110%. That's number 1. Do everything with excellence. Number 2, give more than what's expected. Give more than what's expected. Do more than what's expected. If you're supposed to, just clean, one room, clean more than one room is basically what they're saying. If there's way too much of that's not my job, especially in the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world because I haven't traveled everywhere.
Or do just the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's another one. I sort of did it. I kind of did it. If you want respect from other people and you're hey, it's 5 and you cut off work at 4:55 because that's not your time. You ain't getting paid to do that. You're basically immediately cutting off the blessing. Just the blessing's coming, and at 4:55 the blessing's ready to hit because after 5 o'clock it's coming, and you're 4:55, maybe 4:50. You're like, peace, I'm out. I'm unwilling to do whatever. Yeah, Dave and I were talking about this. About how getting referrals. See, when you're self-employed, or you're in business for yourself, people pay attention to those people who cut corners, who take off early, who show up late. Like, it's so noticeable when you're self-employed. See, when you have a job, you can kind of hide behind that crap. You're like, well, it kind of worked out because nobody saw me. But when you're self-employed, or when you're in business for yourself, people see all of that. Do more than expected. Show up, have the conversation, stay extra, do more, not just the minimum. So that's how you create an edge. So there's a kind of cool thing, people try to focus on too many things at once. And this is probably the lesson we'll end with for today. But people try to focus on too many things at once. And if you look at animal trainers, especially, there's no circuses left, so this analogy is going to go away. But when they used to try to train lions, I always wondered why they would hold a stool up, because it seems pretty ridiculous that a 2,000-pound cat that could eat one of the trainers in a second. I mean, take him out, just pounce on him once. Just the sheer force alone would probably, incapacitate and knock somebody out and or kill them. That you could basically, confuse a 2,000-pound cat or 1,500-pound cat with a stool. And here's the reason why. It's because when a cat looks at the stool, it's got 4 legs. So what it does is it actually confuses the mind, and it doesn't know which one to attack first because it looks like there's 4 of them. So what it does is it actually paralyzes its ability to attack and move forward. And some of us do the exact same thing, especially if you have ADHD, right, Travis? And I'm not pointing him out that he does, but he knows this. Those of us who have that will start 15 projects at once, and then we wonder why we don't get anywhere. And just like the cat that's confused by 4 things, we're confused on what to do first because we've taken on too many things, and we don't know which one to do. And we don't have a coach or a mentor sitting down and going, the first thing is you finish this project. Before you bring on the other 15 projects that you want to work on, you finish this one. You don't open up, you don't set it out, you don't look at it. You finish the project that's in front of you, and that's it. Instead of starting the next one, starting the next one, starting the next one. Now, I can speak from personal experience in doing this, is just taking on way too much. Because my personality is like, oh yeah, I could do that too. Oh yeah, I could do that ttoo. Oh yeah, I could do that too. But the problem is yes, you can do a lot of things, but you can't do them all at the same time. If you overachieve, it makes you look bad. Attacked, yeah, especially if this is inside of a job situation, you do get attacked. But when you're self-employed, you don't, because people really appreciate it. People appreciate you going the extra mile. So you have to focus on what you're doing. Jerry and I were just talking about this the other day, because there's many different ways to contact. There's many different people we can talk to. And again, you have to pick one focus, and that's what you focus on. And you rock that out to a certain number. So once you rock that out to a certain number, meaning if you're getting 15 to 20 presentations out of one method or way of doing something, one contact, when you get to 20 presentations, now you can add a different one. But until you figure out one and you get to 20 presentations, looking at the next version of how to do it is not going to help you get to 20. You have to get to 20. And we're talking about 20 presentations in a month for whatever you do. I don't care if it's real estate. I don't care if it's, network marketing, financial services, insurance. I don't care if it's quoting jobs. A friend of mine does painting jobs, and he has to look at a certain amount of painting jobs and quote a certain amount of painting jobs to be able to get a painting job. That's just how it works. And the same thing is true with us. I said, well, about how many appointments do you have to go on to get one? He's like, anywhere between 3 and as many as 6. Somewhere between 3 and 6 quotes, we get an actual job, and somebody will, basically fork up the money and pay, and we'll go in and do the work. I said, so, if you really looked at it, if you wanted a quote, if you wanted a basically painting job a day, you'd have to do about 5 presentations a day. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so the numbers are there. It's not that different in direct sales. It's not that different in financial services. It's not that different in any other thing we do. The process is basically the same. So with that, guys, what do you need to focus on this weekend? What is a high priority activity that you need to be doing? We already know what it is if you're in network marketing, direct sales, or MLM. You know, who you're contacting this weekend and who you're presenting to, how many presentations. See, I always set, I want to do X number of presentations, and then I'll go fill in whoever those people are. I don't care where they come from. Once you know the pattern of what you're doing, that's how I've set all my goals. I'm going to do 3 presentations today. I don't care, you know, if I have to stay up till 4 a.m., I'm doing 3 presentations. I don't care if they come from Facebook. I don't care if they come from people I meet walking around. I don't care if they come from business cards. I don't care if it's a gas station person. I don't care. I'm doing 3 presentations. Now, eventually I got to the point where I said, more than the 3 presentations, need to be 3 quality presentations. In the beginning, you just need to do 3. Why? Because right now you're not good at the presentation. You're not good at the contact. That's why it's really smart to go talk to people you know in the beginning, because you're practicing and testing. What you don't want to do is you don't want to go out in front of somebody you don't know and mess it up because you're practicing. You're going to ruin your best contact because you're scared. Because the person that you're scared to talk to, like your family's like, whatever, you're going to try one more thing, cool, you know. The last 3 things you didn't do. I mean, you know, they're going to be, typically it works like this. The people who love you the most are the hardest on you, because they see your bullshit, right? They know, right, Don? People know your craziness, especially your family. They're going to be the hardest on you, because they're just like, look, you tried 16,000 things. You're like, yeah, but I'm ready. I'm finally ready. And your family's going to be like, whatever. And they would have said whatever to anything else you were going to do. But that's who you practice on. You know, you practice on the negativity. You practice on the naysayer. That's where you practice. So that way, when you do go out and you launch out and you start talking to people who could join your business, they're not your first, second, third person you talk to, and you jumble it up and, you know, completely destroy it. And they're like, yeah, I would join this, but it doesn't seem like you know what the hell you're doing. That's why we go to family and friends first. Ben's watching. What's up, sir? Thank you for the referrals. Talked to some really cool people. Appreciate it. So with that, guys, that is a wrap for today. Have a great weekend. What you need to focus on, figure it out, plan a number, put it together, set a goal, and focus on it and go out and accomplish it. We have to jump off here and jump to the next show, which is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a great weekend.